Tonight on Dan Abrams Live, a major new poll shows that a majority of Trump voters and 41% of Biden voters like the idea of seceding from the Union. Yes, splitting up the country. Really? Is this for real?
Hurry, baby, hurry!
An officer not taking a moment to hesitate before saving a man from the path of a subway train. Our friend Sean Sticks Larkin joins us live to talk us through this amazing moment. And the calls are growing for fraternities to be abolished on college campuses following a wave of disturbing new allegations at universities across the country. But is Greek life as a whole really the issue? How about focusing on specific acts rather than canceling fraternities altogether? I'll discuss with someone who doesn't necessarily agree. The show starts right now. Welcome to Dan Abrams Live. A troubling idea is bubbling to the surface of American political conversation. It's been mentioned recently by prominent political commentators on both sides of the aisle. And now a new poll from the nonpartisan University of Virginia Center for Politics shows a near majority of voters on both sides of the aisle are in favor of secession. Yes, secession from the Union. This is disturbing. Look at the numbers here. Trump voters were asked whether they agreed or disagreed with the following statement. The situation in America is such that I would favor red states seceding from the Union to form their own separate country. A majority, 52%, at least somewhat agree with the statement, with 25% really digging in, saying that they strongly agree. And it's not just Trump voters. Biden voters were asked the same question, but about blue states seceding. And 41% said that at least they somewhat agree, with 18% strongly agreeing. So what we have here, almost a quarter of all Biden and Trump voters basically giving up on the idea of the United States of America altogether. We've got another 25 to 30% leaning in that direction. Now, that is so depressing. And I think it's in part because many in the media on both sides have already been talking about this as if it's a real thing.
I am very pro splitting the country as a trial separation. Why not try it for 2 years, red and blue?
And when both sides believe the other guy taking over means the end of the world, yes, you can have a civil war.
I actually think that we're trending toward secession.
Many on both sides have started to normalize what should be treated as an incredibly radical idea. Words like secession and civil war shouldn't be thrown around, and yet more and more you're hearing those words on cable news and beyond. And no matter what you think of the former president, obviously his divisive and biting rhetoric didn't help either, coming from the president of the United States. So earlier this year, Texas State Representative became the first person in more than a century to file formal legislation calling for secession, and groups in several states, including California, are circulating petitions trying to get secession on the ballot. The numbers from the new poll must be taken seriously. But the stunning takeaways don't stop there. The poll's 2012 respondents, which were just about evenly split between Trump and Biden voters, were asked, it would be better for America if whoever is president could take needed actions without being constrained by Congress or the courts. 46% of Biden voters and 44% of Trump voters largely agree. Yeah, I mean, who needs the Congress and the Supreme Court? It's so annoying, right? Having all these other entities around to somehow control the president. But how about this question? I believe that Americans who strongly support the opposite party have become a clear and present danger to the American way of life. 75% of Biden voters and 78% of Trump voters agree. And how about this one? I've come to view elected officials from the opposite party as presenting a clear and present danger to American democracy. 80% of Biden voters and 84% of Trump voters largely agree. So, all hope is lost, right? Well, not so fast. Check out these numbers from the same poll. Look at all the agreement among Trump and Biden voters on the actual issue being addressed by the infrastructure bill. Electric grid improvement, drinking water modernization, construction of roads and bridges and rail lines, etc. They love it. So these numbers are clear evidence for why the bipartisan infrastructure bill needs to be passed, despite objections from the radical wings of both parties. I don't want to believe that things are as bad as they may seem to those on the fringes. And I worry that sometimes people say things, for example, to pollsters, because they're angry, and maybe not because they actually mean it. Joining me now is Kyle Kondik. He's an elections commentator and the managing editor at the University of Virginia Center for Politics. They put out this survey that has been the talk of the town today. Kyle, thanks very much for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. Let me ask you this. You guys have not in the past asked this question about secession. What led you to put this down as one of the questions this time?
Well, look, this poll it's a new project that we've been doing with the group called Project Homefire, which is very concerned, as we are, about the big divides in American life. And so, part of what we were doing here was trying to kind of prod the respondents to sort of see how far they might go on some pretty radical ideas. And of course, secession is a pretty radical idea. And, you do find some support for it, certainly, and some strong support, which, is kind of disturbing. On the other hand, as you rightly point out, there is actually some agreement on some of the actual policy matters that are being discussed, right now in Washington. The president went over to Capitol Hill today to try to get Democrats on board to pass this bipartisan infrastructure bill and also pass a essentially partisan reconciliation bill at the same time. So, again, on some of these kind of bread and butter issues, there's agreement, but there's also just a deep amount of distrust and dislike between both Biden voters and Trump voters.
Well, and that's the point, though, is that when you actually talk about specific issues, there's definitely divergent views on certain things, but there's a lot more unity on actual issues, which I think that we in the media have some obligation to point out, because, you watch Fox, you watch MSNBC, you watch, and they're all, well, these guys are awful. Those guys are the worst. Oh, my goodness. If these guys stay in power, the country's ending. And there are those of us who are somewhere near the middle trying to say, whoa, hang on, guys. Look, we can solve some of this stuff. So when you saw these numbers, particularly on things like secession and the anger at the other party, were you surprised?
I guess I was surprised a little bit at the sort of the larger numbers of people who support against some of these pretty extreme ideas. Again, I don't think it's necessarily an imminent threat to the country or something like that. For one thing, if you go back to the Civil War in 1861, you did have a clear regional divide in the country. You don't actually have that in the United States right now. Yes, the northeastern states and the West Coast are more Democratic, and the interior is a little more Republican. But there are blue pockets everywhere. There are red pockets everywhere, et cetera. So practically speaking, I don't think we're at some sort of huge dangerous
right.
point here. But the country just there's so much internal division, and you think about the competition the United States is in with other ideologies across the world and other countries across the world. And, does democracy start to look weak because of all the internal squabbling? I think it's something that, this poll sort of brings out, but I think it's something that's been front of mind for a lot of us over the past many years.
Well, let me ask you this. So I made a point at the top saying I think some people kind of lash out in polls, right? They're asked a question and they just want to express their anger, right? And I worry that maybe some people, when asked a question like, do you think that we should secede from the Union, are almost saying it to protest, and they don't really mean it. What do you make of that?
I think that's probably a fair point. And look, I think that what we're trying to measure here is just the sort of the vitriol and a kind of division between the two sides. And one way to express that is to say, hey, I don't like these people so much, I don't really want to be in the same country with them. That doesn't necessarily mean you're
right.
Joining the militia or something to break up the country, but I think it does illustrate the deep division and the vitriol.
Yeah, and I think that those who actually want to secede, as you pointed out before, it would be a little tricky on how to do that because, you got these red states with these blue cities inside. Maybe, you start gerrymandering where, the city inside goes to the other team. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. But it is, I have to say, I was really, really troubled. Let me ask you one more question about how you did this, right? So you had people sort of base it on a 1 to 100 scale of how much they agree with the particular statement?
That's right. So it's a 0 to 100 scale. If you say 0, you completely disagree with the statement. If you say 100, you completely agree. And then there's sort of a gradation. So people who picked 51 or more at least somewhat agreed with the various statements that we read, including the stuff about secession and a number of the other questions that you highlighted at the top.
All right, Kyle Kondik, this was a fascinating survey. And look, I appreciate the general mission that you guys have been trying to do, which is similar to the one that I'm trying to do, which is to say there's got to be places where we can agree. There's got to be ways where we can bring people together. It doesn't all have to be about the finger pointing. And, you know, this is a new cable news show. It started this week. But the mission behind it is similar to that. The mission is we don't have to scream at each other all the time. We don't have to point fingers and accuse the other ones of being, you know, communists or fascists, and be able to have actually civil conversations. And I hope, you know, this was a bit of a wake-up call and pretty scary to me, though, seeing this. So it made me realize we need this show more than ever. Kyle Kondik, thank you very much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Coming up, the new video of Gabby Petito telling police Brian Laundrie grabbed her face. It is a big deal, but why so much focus on this now? We'll show you footage released weeks ago that should have flagged this a lot earlier.
Here we go!
And a subway save a transit cop, risking it to save a strap hanger who fell on the tracks. There's a train coming, too, as onlookers are watching in terror. It's coming up. Breaking developments tonight in the Gabby Petito case. More body cam footage was released late last night from the Moab, Utah Police Department. It's the same traffic stop we've seen before, but from a different officer's camera. In it, we see a very upset and scratched Gabby Petito.
Is there something on your cheek here? Looks like, did you get hit in the face? Kind of looks like something like hit you in the face. And then over on your arm, shoulder, right here. That's new, huh? It's kind of a new mark.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Can I see the other side of your face? So, what happened here and here?
I'm not sure. It was a really fast. I was just trying to get in the back of the car and his backpack was on the back and it got me.
So the backpack got you? So there's two people that came to us and told us that they saw him hit you. There's two people saying that they saw him punch you. We're just independent witnesses by Moonflower.
Well, to be honest, I definitely hit him first.
Where'd you hit him?
I slapped him.
Tomorrow, if you want to, it's up to you. You can go
to jail?
You can't because we don't have a charge for you. Now tomorrow, if you wanted to get with her again tomorrow,
I'm gonna take the radio.
if you want to be with her again tomorrow, because it's after 5, so our office is closed, you can go to the police department, fill out a waiver to drop the no contact order, so you guys can still be together. But she's gonna have a court date online in a week or two. She's gonna have to show for her court date online and answer. The prosecutor might drop it. They might say, for example, if you're not willing to pursue it, if that's your decision.
Anyway, I was going to say, it definitely is. I'm not going to pursue anything too much. You know, fiance, I love her. It's just a little squabble. I'm sorry that I had to get so public.
All right, but this isn't totally new. This was also captured on the first video released several weeks ago. The audio is just clearer this time, and so a lot more people have picked it up. Now listen to the original body cam footage. We've brought the sound up and added the words on the screen to make it clearer.
Did he hit you though? I mean, it's okay if you're saying you hit him, but I understand if he hit you, but we want to know the truth if he actually hit you. Because, you know, where did he hit you? Don't worry, be honest.
Now, was this just missed by many when that was released? Now, one new potential contradiction that has come out that is significant. and it relates to Brian Laundrie's sister, Cassie. She told Good Morning America last month that she hadn't talked with her brother after he returned to Florida on September 1st.
I haven't been able to talk to him. I wish I could talk to him. I've cooperated every way that I can. I wish I had information or I would give more. This is all I have is I gave to the police.
Now, the Laundrie family attorney, Stephen Bertolino, telling News Nation, Cassie saw her brother Brian on September 1st when he stopped by her home, and again on September 6th at Fort DeSoto Park. Law enforcement agencies are well aware of these dates. Any prior communication by Cassie that does not reflect these dates is simply a difference of relating an answer to a question misinterpreted by Cassie or poorly posed by the inquirer. There is a lot to unpack here. Carter Poppy is a reporter with the Times Independent in Moab, Utah, and joins me now. Thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Let me ask you, you have made a request for more body cam footage. Is that correct?
We requested the second body camera footage that you showed earlier, but we are hoping to get more because there were more officers on scene.
Right. And so that could provide us additional angles. And is there any, I mean, you've watched these videos carefully. Is there any piece that you feel like we're missing now in terms of conversations with one or the other that we couldn't hear?
There's probably a bit of that missing. I think that the biggest thing that's missing is just there's so many nuances to these interactions that I think you can pretty easily miss, and that I easily miss, not being trained in understanding domestic violence and domestic abuse. So I think it's not just that we're missing footage itself, but I think that it's also important to watch these with a careful eye, understanding what domestic violence can look like.
Oh, well, there's no doubt about that. I mean, it is heartbreaking to watch that now in retrospect, right? I mean, like every word of Gabby's, I am so frustrated that we can't reach out and scream. It is maddening. What we do see, interestingly enough, in this new body cam video is a police officer who is very determined to research the domestic abuse laws and figure out effectively how to let the couple go without an arrest. Take a look at this part of the stop.
You know why the domestic assault code is there. It's there to protect people, especially the reason why they don't give us discretion on these things is because too many times women who are at risk want to go back to their abuser. They just wanted him to stop, and they don't want to have to be separated. They don't want him charged. They don't want him to go to jail, and then they end up getting worse and worse treatment, and then they end up getting killed. Mm-hmm. In no way, shape, or form that I can perceive does what happened here, a little slap fight between fiancés who love each other, want to be together, can I perceive that this is going to digress into the situation where he's going to be a battered man? Right. But then again, I don't have a crystal ball.
I mean, the whole thing, just, listening to it now in retrospect is both, maddening and unfair. But maybe related to this part of the traffic stop, maybe not. The Moab Police Department says at this time, the city of Moab is unaware of any breach of police department policy during this incident, but they are doing investigation. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, they are. The city is going to be looking into the response itself. This is part of a broader context of reporting that we've been doing recently about a judge's comments about the police department mishandling their own body cameras. So there's a lot going on beyond the PETITO case with the police department right now.
And are there any other outstanding requests that you have for more information in this case, in any way, shape, or form that could provide us with some more answers?
Like I said, and as you can see in the video, there are two other officers on scene, and so we're hoping to get those body camera footages. Like I said, I can't think of any other resources that we're missing. But I mean, there are lots of questions that we have for the police department that we've not been able to get answered, and that I think that certainly the review should be looking into, and I'm hoping to get answered at some point as well.
Yeah, I mean, you know, look, it is tricky to figure out, for example, why, based on everything they knew, they were sort of talking to him as if he was the victim. And I know that's one of the big things that is going to be examined here as well. All right, Carter, thank you. I know you've been doing a lot of good hard work on this story. Appreciate you taking the time to come on the show. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Coming up, this is Kristen. She's 17. She hasn't been seen in more than a year. The FBI believes she's the victim of human trafficking. We need your help to find her. Angeline Hartman from the Center for Missing and Exploited Children is with us to share the story. Coming up. Plus, disturbing allegations. Drugging, sexual assaults, racism, all involving fraternities, leading to new calls for them to go to the way of the dinosaur. But a lot of fraternities also do a lot of good. Why would canceling all fraternities possibly be the answer? Discuss it up next. Welcome back. Fraternities under fire. Multiple high-profile tragedies and possible crimes leading to students on campuses across the country now calling for the groups to be shut down. But why are the fraternities to blame rather than individual members being accused of wrongdoing? 11 people have been indicted after freshman Adam Oakes died from alcohol poisoning earlier this year during a frat party at Virginia Commonwealth University. And there were protests last weekend at Northwestern University after several students there were allegedly drugged during at least 2 frat house parties on campus. There have also been recent protests at fraternity houses at the University of Nebraska and University of Massachusetts Amherst over allegations of sexual assault. Look, there should be accountability. There should be laws against particular types of hazing. And when someone is found responsible for doing something, they should be held to account. But I don't like this collective judgment stuff. Rather than target the particular 2 fraternities, for example, Northwestern has just banned all Greek life, social events, and recruitment activities through October 17th at the 13 fraternities on campus, as those allegations are investigated. According to a Gallup poll from July, 10,000 college graduates conducted on behalf of a national Greek life organizations, 51% of those who had been in a fraternity or sorority found a job within 2 months of graduation, compared to 36% of grads who weren't a part of the groups. And maybe most importantly, around the country, community service. The North American Interfraternity Conference says Greek life members volunteer for a total of 3.5 million hours a year, and they raise more than $31 million for their communities. Now, I was in a fraternity in college. I enjoyed it, but I also think, looking back on it, that there were problems there. But that shouldn't mean that all fraternities get shut down. With us now is Nicholas Creel, Assistant Professor of Accounting and Business Law at Georgia College and State University and former president of a fraternity that was shut down. He thinks we seriously need to consider banning fraternities or at least breaking ties with them. Professor, thanks very much for joining us. Appreciate it. All right, so
thanks for having
I
me.
assume your position is not we should ban all fraternities. You're just saying we should ostracize them?
Well, we can separate official ties with them. It doesn't need to be an all or nothing sort of issue. We can just no longer bring them as official part of the fold and make them go on their own if they can survive that way.
And the purpose of that is what? Meaning, why do we have to sort of make this collective judgment about all fraternities and say, you know what, we just don't want them? And by the way, we should talk about them as sororities too. I assume you're talking about Greek life in general. And simply saying that we should stop recognizing fraternities and sororities. It just seems to me that that's exactly the kind of collective judgment that many who are supporting this would be opposed to in any other context.
Well, ultimately, I think it's fair to ask, what are these fraternities and sororities bringing to us on balance to the campus? And in general, I just look at it and don't see that it's a very good trade. Ultimately, most of the good that they do bring, and there is some obviously good that's brought by them, but most of that can be replaced by other student organizations.
But why the judgment? Meaning, I get it, but why not for example, allow these fraternities to decide? I mean, it sounds like when you refer to us, you mean the campus, right? And then the school itself.
Correct, yes.
Making a judgment about whether to associate with a particular fraternity or sorority. It seems to me that this notion of saying, we're not going to recognize them, you get to the point where you're going to get people, let's say, to move off campus, right? There's not going to be fraternities recognized. And then there are going to be problems in the off-campus housing. And people are going to say, oh, look at this. Look at what's happening off campus. And you know what we should do now? Let's move everyone on campus, because off campus provides problems as well. I mean, it just seems to me that this isn't really an effective solution to what is the problem, which is in certain places, in certain fraternities and certain individuals, there are cultural problems, and obviously there are more than that in some of these places. Why not make them more targeted rather than simply say, let's stop recognizing fraternities?
Well, realistically, that's probably what we're going to see. It's very unlikely, given how entrenched it is within campus culture, that we're ever going to be able to get rid of Greek life. So the reality is we'll probably have to settle for something like higher degree of regulation, not just by the universities, but also national fraternity councils need to step up, like happened in my case. My whole chapter fraternity wasn't actually thrown out. It was just me and a few other individuals because we explicitly broke rules that the national organization gave us regarding alcohol. We were told no kegs at parties. We had kegs at parties. 3 days after they found out, we were entirely removed, those who were at the party with those kegs. And so, I mean, in reality, that is probably what we're going to have to do. But again, why do we
let me
have
ask
to
you, but I want to talk about your experience. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but doesn't your experience show us that it can work, right? That actually the rules can be enforced by fraternity organizations, and again, where they'd have that keg party off campus and there'd be no accountability. In your case, there was accountability because there was a rule. I mean, that to me, your case seems to me a perfect example of why fraternities work.
I mean, perhaps to a degree, but at the same time, do we really want, as a university, to sanction these organizations, which we know breed major problems regarding alcohol abuse, regarding sexual assault? When it comes under our umbrella, it becomes our responsibility.
But you see, again, look what you just did. You just made a comment about all fraternities breeding sexual assault. And that's just not a reality. There are particular people, there are particular places where that happens. This sort of sweeping generalizations about what fraternities breed or what sororities breed, I think is dangerous. Take the final word on this.
I mean, college campuses in general are basically cruise ships with passengers that are drinking a lot more and are even more hormonal. Bringing on these formal organizations that are going to just exacerbate that problem is only going to make it something that we officially sanction, and that happens on our watch, making it our liability and our problem morally as well.
Professor Kirill, you get the final word. Thank you very much for taking the time to come on the show. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Coming up, heart-pounding moments at a subway stop, but a transit cop thinks fast to save a man who passed out and fell on the tracks. Did I mention there is a train speeding right towards them? Our friend Sean Six Larkin from Live PD and Tulsa PD is standing by to walk us through the daring rescue up next. Welcome back. Time for our police cam segment. This time an officer from New York who saved a man who fell onto subway tracks just as a train was pulling into the station.
Hurry, hurry, baby, hurry! Hurry up! Up, 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 up! Oh, 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 oh!
That was cell phone video from the Bronx. The NYPD recently posted it to Twitter. Transit officer Lupin Lopez jumped onto the tracks to help Jesse Branch after he lost consciousness and fell from the platform. A Good Samaritan, as you see, also hopped down to save the man in the nick of time. After Officer Lopez gets the injured man to safety, onlookers help bring him and the Good Samaritan up. This as the train's headlights appeared. Branch suffered a broken left arm and broken ribs and was taken to the hospital. With me now to review this is retired Tulsa Police Lieutenant and former co-host of Live PD, my friend Sean Sticks Larkin. Sticks, as always, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it. All right, more than 160 people were hit by subways last year in New York City, according to the MTA. Good news is, based on the quick action of the officer there, Branch won't be part of that statistic. Talk to me from a police perspective. What were you thinking as you're watching that video?
The first thing that stood out to me, it was honestly the citizen that got down there to help the officer. Anybody, whether it's a private citizen, a policeman, a fireman, that puts their life at risk to go out and help a complete stranger like that, man, it just hits me in the heart. I know that sounds really cheesy, but it really does. So the officer, you kind of have an expectation for him to get down there and try to do something like that. But to see a citizen stand up, go down there and help him, that's the type of stuff, the work we need between our police departments and the community for the wide range of problems that are going on.
And I think also, though, what you don't want, and this is maybe not a typical situation, is too many civilians, right? I mean, you also have to be concerned about the potential safety of the civilians who are there standing on the side.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a fine line between potentially you being another statistic as well, or being able to help this person. And, it's one of the things that stood out to me. There's somebody who's recording the cell phone. In my mind, I'm thinking, man, instead of trying to document potentially something horrible happening, actually end up being heroic, get down there and help out. But like you said, there's that fine line between risking your life in a situation like this or a lot of other things officers get involved with. Luckily, this one worked out great for everybody.
And you have to make that, and you got to make it in a split second, that decision.
That's part of being a police officer. You have split-second decisions that oftentimes are life and death, and this is just another one we're seeing here tonight.
All right, can we widen out the shots so we can see Sean for a minute, because we got an extra 30 seconds here. Sean, is that a leopard skin pillow to your left?
Yeah, I've got some of that Tom Morris decorations going on here in the house, so there's a wide range of things. Got a little shadow box back here my daughter made for me in my retirement, but yeah, leopard skin.
All right.
Yeah. Well, that's the wrong side. Wrong side.
Wrong. There you go. There it is. There it is. All right. Sean Larkin, good to see you. Thanks for coming on the show. See you soon.
You as always.
Still to come tonight, this is serious stuff. A teen is in danger and needs your help. Have you seen 17-year-old KRISTEN? She has been missing for more than a year. She may be the victim of human trafficking. Her story and how you can help find her, it's coming up next. Each Friday here on the show, we're going to ask for your help to find a missing child. I can't tell you how many times on Live PD our spotting a case led to a major break. And so this week, we focus on KRISTEN Galvan, a 17-year-old from Spring, Texas. KRISTEN has been missing since January 2nd, 2020. Family members say she was lured out of her grandmother's home by a new friend. The FBI believes she was sold into child sex trafficking. Before her disappearance, she was a member of a junior ROTC, and she was on her school's drill team. I want to bring in my old friend Angeline Hartman to talk more about KRISTEN's case. She is the media director for the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Angeline, good to see you again, obviously from the family, from the Live PD world. Thank you for coming on the show. All right, so take us through KRISTEN's disappearance. What do we know about what happened?
Thanks for having me, Dan. It's good to be back and to call attention to these missing cases because they need it so much. KRISTEN's story is a very sad one. Her mom tells me that they were there on New Year's Day. It's January 1st, 2020. They had the typical, they had black-eyed peas, they had ham, they had a big celebration, and everything seemed normal. They were at her grandparents' house. And at around 7:30 that night, family members go out for ice cream. KRISTEN says, I'm going to stay back. And she stays home with her grandfather. The grandfather, a couple hours later, realizes that KRISTEN is gone. And so the family's panicking. They're looking for her. And it turns out when they go back and look at her phone records, that they noticed she was in contact with strange people that they didn't know. And so when we say a new friend, I mean, it was somebody that she was talking to at that time, but this is somebody who is definitely not a friend. And now police have turned this over to the FBI. The FBI has taken over, and this is a confirmed case, they believe, of child sex trafficking.
Now, why do they believe that? I mean, how are they so confident that she was lured into sex trafficking?
Well, I can tell you what the mother told me, and this is pretty recent, as of a couple of months ago. The mom says that investigators came to her and they had a picture, and they said, "Hey, take a look at this. Can you tell us if this is your daughter?" And mom says, "Of course, this is my daughter." She knew right away, even though the picture wasn't very clear. Cops didn't want to tell her everything, but they said this picture came from an escort site. They wouldn't say where, the details were limited. And so mom does her own search. She goes through all of these sites, these escort sites, and she actually finds her own daughter on an escort site, sees the name of her daughter, sees more pictures of her daughter, sees how much her daughter is being sold for. And she went and tracked down her daughter. At that time, that ad was for her daughter being sold with another girl in Atlanta, Georgia. Mom gets on a plane, Dan, and tries to track her down. She's walking the streets of Atlanta, Georgia with her poster. Can you imagine that? I mean, this is not the first time she's done it either. She, before she got this from police, from investigators, she was doing this in Houston, walking around, door to door, going into these seedy neighborhoods looking for her daughter. But yeah, so it is, there's limited information from investigators, but they say that's what they believe, that she is in danger. They don't know exactly where she is now. The last possible sighting was in Atlanta, Georgia, and mom doesn't stop. She keeps on going, and she's hired her own private investigator. You have to imagine too, Dan, that this was a couple of months before COVID. So she disappeared January 1st, 2020. So mom was out there every day, and then COVID hit and shut it down, right? Everybody was, locked inside pretty much. And here we are almost 2 years later.
Yeah, this is one of these cases where there's really hope, though, of finding her. I mean, and that's why I think that this is so important that we put her picture up again, if we can, put Kristen's picture up again so people can get one more look. To say if anyone has seen her, as you heard Angeline say there, maybe in the Atlanta area, maybe elsewhere. If you know anything,
exactly. We don't know. She could be anywhere at this point. That's exactly right. Yep.
Please call your local police department and inform them if you know anything. Angeline, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. It is great to see you, and let's hope that this helps find Kristen. And if you have any more, let me give you another link to. Let me give one more link to go to. We have a link on our page at newsnationnow.com/Dan Abrams Live, or to contact authorities, call 1-800-THE-LOST. That's 1-800-843-5678. Don't go anywhere, because we're coming right back with our Mediaite Moments, Bias, Bull, and Buzz. Time now for our Mediaite Moments, where we check in on the day's bias, buzz, and the bull in the world of cable news and beyond. The vaccine mandates remain a divisive issue in the country, but you would hope the impact of the mandates might be a fairly straightforward issue, where a news network would be able to provide us with the facts on how and whether they're working. Sadly, it apparently depends on which network you're watching. Let's take a look at what CNN was reporting at precisely 7:21 Thursday night.
Tonight, vaccine mandates are working and causing a jump in vaccinations for healthcare workers and others. The New York Times reports that one California hospital saw a 97% compliance rate, with as many as 800 workers getting their shot due to a mandate.
Well, that's great. The mandates are working. So let's flip over to Fox News at the exact same time, 7:21 p.m.
Hundreds of hospital workers and police officers are now being fired or resigning over refusal to take a vaccine. And to add insult to injury, if that's possible, hospitals are already facing staffing shortages because of the pandemic. So when will the mandate madness end?
Wait, people are getting fired for not getting vaccinated? That's not good. So let's flip back to CNN on that issue at the exact same time.
So, Dr. Gottlieb, I mean, sure, some people have been fired for not complying. I understand that. But these numbers they're factual. These are the numbers. The mandates have increased vaccinations. They just simply have. So do you think we should see more of them?
Well, look, there's no question that they're working to increase the vaccination rates.
So that's good. Let's flip back to Fox to make sure we're on the same page here.
I'm stunned that they are cracking down on the people we once called heroes, the medical profession, by saying, get vaccinated by this week or you're fired. And the answer is, most people have been vaccinated. Is it necessary to threaten the American people with these mandates?
As we go back to CNN, I want to assure you, we did not set up this back and forth happening at exactly the same time.
Look, I think the federal government's well within their prerogative to mandate vaccination among the federal workforce. I think mandating vaccine among healthcare workers also makes a lot of sense because it's a function of protecting the people that they're caring for.
So it's generally good that people are getting vaccinated, but some think the mandate is heavy-handed, right? But at least both are having civil conversations about a nuanced issue.
No, this is disgusting. There's no need for these totalitarian tactics. Nurses, teachers, and others who've put their lives on the line for the last year and a half, I'm telling you, tyranny has no bounds, and you're looking at it right now. It is absolutely disgusting.
And we wonder why we're so divided as a nation. Speaking of health, this isn't healthy for anyone. That's it. We're out of time. That was our Mediaite Moments. Have a great weekend. See you next week.